Hello, my name is Dr. Yaya Sissoko. Today we're going to talk about Chapter 9, Application International Trade, the Determinant of Trade. Why international trade? So you remember from Chapter 3, we talk about, interdependence and the gain from trade. So interdependence among countries was based on the comparative advantage. The country who has the lowest opportunity cost in producing one good, that country should specialize in the production of that good and export that good to the other country. And the country should import the goods and services in which it does not have, the comparative advantage. So today we're going to go through, some the gain of from trade, the winner and loser for trade. But we'll begin with the determinant of trade. Before we talk about the determinant of trade, let's talk about the market equilibrium without trade for with only domestic buyer and seller. So where the equilibrium is determined by supply curve and demand curve, we have the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity. So and we also can find the total benefit, with respect to the buyer, consumer surplus, and the benefit to the seller, producer surplus. We know that total benefit equal to, consumer surplus plus the producer surplus. Figure one deal with the equilibrium without, some international trade in the market of textile. Textile is often, one good which is produced in every country, you know. So in the y-axis or vertical axis, we have the price of textile, and then in the horizontal axis or x-axis, we have the quantity of textile. The domestic supply of textile is the upward sloping positive curve. The downward sloping curve is the domestic demand for textile. The two curves intercept at this point, so where you can find the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity. So if you look at then the total benefit for for the production of textiles would be the consumer surplus here, which is all this area, and the producer surplus, okay, which is all that area. You recall that consumer surplus is the area below the demand curve and above the price, the market price. The producer surplus on the other end is the area below the price of the product or the price, so received by the seller and above the supply curve, the cost of production of the product. You can see that the price of the textile adjusted to balance the domestic supply and demand. Now let's allow, so for international trade. So allow for international trade, how is the price and quantity sold in the domestic market going to be determined? Who will gain from the free trade? Who will lose, from the free trade? Will the gain exceed the losses? Should a tariff be part of the new trade policy? So let's begin with some definition. So what is the world price? The world price is the price of a good that prevails in the world market for that good. So, for instance, it would be the price of textile in the market of textile. So, and then the domestic price on the other end is the opportunity cost of the good, in the domestic market. This would be the price of textile in the US, for instance. The world price would be the price of textile around the world, for instance. So to compare the domestic price with the world price, we have to find out which country has a comparative advantage in the production of what. So, for instance, if you pick a textile, if a country has a comparative advantage in the production of textile, this means that country A can produce textile at at the lowest opportunity cost than the world or than country B or the world, for instance, in which case the domestic price of textile would be less than the world price of textile. Therefore, country A should export, the textile to other countries, and we say that country has a comparative advantage in the production of textile. On the other hand, if country A is producing car but does not have a comparative advantage in the production of car, so this means that the country A is not able to produce it, cars at a lower opportunity cost than other countries around the world. Therefore, the domestic price of car would be greater than the world price of car, and therefore, in which case, country A should import car, and we will say that the world has a comparative advantage in the production of car.